I just got out of work and I am doing a video immediately because I'm still battling this cold. It is kicking my butt, and I want to get some more work done and then hopefully relax with the kids tonight. In tonight's video, I want to touch on something before I read this email. It's another longer story, but I had an awesome experience today. I got an instant message from a buddy of mine who I've become close with over the years. He reached out to me, I would say about 3 years ago now, and he was a prominent presence on freefromhell.com. He was an administrator, just an all-around great guy. He's from Toronto, and he sent me a message because he was interviewed for a paper, and they did his story and where he came from to where he is now in his recovery. And if you knew this guy, he was very hard on himself in the beginning. He considered himself to be almost like a lost cause at first. But to see people like him, who he busted his ass to get to where he is now, but how genuinely happy he is now, and to be able to share his story with people in the media who will reach even more people, it's pretty cool. I mean, seeing his expression and being able to share his experience was a huge thing for me today, because I was there in the beginning and I got to see him progress into the person he is today. So hats off to you, Brian. You're a good dude. Alright, so today's email, he leaves his name at the end, but I'm just going to start it. He said, I used to be a normal child. Parents argued here and there, but nothing too cynical. They eventually divorced when I was 10 years old. My father moved back to his parents not far away, and my mom's drinking started to escalate. Their breakup was very patchy, and at times I discover my father back at the house drinking and doing drugs with my mother. I recall going downstairs one night and seeing cocaine on the table. This destroyed me. I remember sweeping the line onto the floor in an angered state. Since then, signs were clearly evident that my parents drank way too much alcohol and did way too much cocaine. Parents think you see nothing. We see everything. Even at 10 years old, I knew exactly what was happening. This continued for about 4 years and forced me to grow up a lot quicker than normal children. I started drinking alcohol at a very young age. I must have been 12 when I had my first bottle of wine. Then I drank every Friday with my best friend without fail for the next 5 years. During this time, I messed around with cannabis as well. At that time, I thought this was normal. I never saw drugs and thought of them to escape from my daily reality of my mother. During this time, my mother had several partners, one of which was very abusive and used to beat her to a pulp. Then other boyfriends would trash the house. This upset me, but my mother was no saint. I believe, looking back and doing my research, that my mother is a sociopath, and I don't say that lightly, but anyhow. My drinking got concerning around about 16. I drink almost every night with my father. Not an awful amount, but enough to feel normal again. I suffered my over-excessive worrying and constant anxiety and chronic depression. It got that bad that I had irritable bowel syndrome, but the mental health version, when you believe there's something wrong even though there isn't. Anyway, addiction runs very strong in my family. My uncle was a massive heroin addict and had to use a methadone program to get clean. I am pleased to say he's doing well in life and staying clean for years now. However, my grandparents were not so lucky. My grandfather was an alcoholic for years on end and also addicted to codeine painkillers. My grandmother wasn't so much addicted to alcohol, but the stronghold of opiates had her in its hand as well. She eventually passed away in 2011 due to organs shutting down. Then a year later, my grandfather passed away to pneumonia. I'm under no illusion that drugs weren't the ones that caused this. Anyway, back to drinking with my father. In the morning, hungover, my father would give me some painkillers for my headache, and I felt that instant euphoria and calmness. My worrying was gone, and I felt genuinely happy. Little did I know this was the start of a major downfall. This used to be once or twice a week, then started happening 3-4 times a week. I would say to my dad I had migraines, so he'd give me some of those pills to not raise suspicion. When I couldn't get a hold of those pills, when I'd be with my mother, I'd notice she'd also have boxes of painkillers containing codeine. So I decided to start asking her for some pills here and there. Then I started using them as coping mechanisms for job interviews and high-stress situations. It came to my attention I could buy these tablets over the counter at local pharmacies. This started off small, then just spiraled. I went from 4 to 6 tablets a day to 16 to 24 tablets a day, consuming anywhere from 200 milligrams to 300 milligrams of codeine a day. This happened for 4 years. I was in denial. I was an addict until my father discovered empty pain pill bottles and sat me down and explained what would happen if I continued. As of July 29, 2015, I went through a detox. I have been clean from that day since. I've never looked back. I'm 130 days clean for my first attempt at this. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life, and I've seen some madness. The first 30 days was the biggest struggle for me. I suffered with diarrhea for a good month after I got clean, which is quite excessive, but once all the physical stuff worn off, it was the psychological battle within that ignited. And you all know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to get into that now because the climax of the story is going to be about my recovery. During recovery, you take each day as it comes. Listen to music as often as you can. It really does help. Drink plenty of water. Try get exercise here and there. And most of all, cut yourself some slack. Treat yourself to some nice things. You bloody deserve it. As long as you aren't putting mind-altering drugs into your body, I believe doing anything that will help in recovery. If you want to start throwing yourselves out of planes, then by all means do it. In recovery, every day there's slight changes. You don't see, but when you look back, you see the major differences. Keeping a journal is key in contrasting how you felt a couple weeks ago to how you feel now. 130 days clean, things are starting to settle down an awful lot. I mean, 4 months is still early, but I'm nearly at half a year already, and I cannot believe how fast it has gone. In the beginning, it goes at a snail's pace, but once you get this sobriety ball rolling, it just keeps rolling and getting bigger and bigger. It's the better you feel. It doesn't last forever. For anyone out there still stuck, I can tell you this. It won't be easy, but it's damn sure worth it. Can you sacrifice a few months of uneasiness and testing times for a healthy, long life? I damn well can. Keep going. God bless you, Ryan. I watch your videos every day without fail, and you've helped an awful amount in my recovery, and so has the Free From Hell blog. Stevie. Feel free to use my first name. Thanks, Stevie. Outstanding email. I really like this email because he talks about the different things that he did in his recovery to keep him on the right track, like exercising, drinking plenty of water, and cutting himself some slack, which is it's right on the money. All right, so if you'd like to share your story like Stevie did, you can email me at ryan@compsupport.com. In the subject line, put YouTube story, my story. Let me know if you want to use your first or last name or stay anonymous. All right, and check out freefromhell.com. or freefromhellblog.com, which he likes. Tons of good information on both. All right, so questions and comments below, and keep watching.